Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an exciting episode of Fanzone Debate. We got a fun match for you today. We got a rematch. Kaleb Koho going up against Jacoby Bancroft. This is the second time they've played. The last time they played, it was in the number one contenders match. Not quite the case this time, but both players with good records that are good at this. Both went out in the semifinals of the tournament earlier this year, looking to just advance that record a little bit going into next season. So last time we saw them play each other, Jacoby ended up winning that contender match to go on and win the belt. Koho has gotten to the title matches. He's been in a lot of number one contender match situations, but has never gotten that belt like Jacoby. But I think both are pretty evenly matched, have different types of styles. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the rematch. So today on the desk with me, we got Cody Newberry. Cody, how are you?
Hello. Jacoby is probably the person that pissed me off the worst in a debate, and I've debated Koho a lot. So that's a testament to Jacoby. Jacoby's really good. I expected to see Jacoby in the tournament finals. I expected him to be. He is top 3 in this league for me as a person to debate. I hold him very high with him and Kirk. I think they take it serious. They like doing it. They never show up an excuse and be like, "Oh, I don't even want to win." No, they both want to. He wants to win every time he's here, so that's why I enjoy watching him. Koho is one of these people that if he actually gave a damn, if he actually did 100% effort and didn't just bullshit and repeat himself all the time, he could be a champion of this league. He is when he's passionate about his stuff and he knows his stuff and he knows counterpoints, he can win any match. So we'll see what Koho we get today. The one against Boatman where he didn't give a fuck, or the one where he went to go for the title. We'll see.
Mark, your thoughts going into it?
I think we're at least in for a fun one. I think either way, Koho comes into this one really fired up. It's always fun to watch. And then Jacoby is maybe one of my favorite people to watch play because he doesn't really come in super confident, but then once we get rolling, he gets really fired up too. Like it's very unnerving.
Unnerving is a good word to use. Let's get into the pre-match interviews. We will start by talking to Mr. Koho. Koho, was Cody's assessment of you correct? Or do you take umbrage?
How do I argue with Cody? I just beat him in a teams match, and that's how you argue with Cody. But no, he's not wrong. When it comes to games where I'm dialed in, I think I'm really good at this. And I would say I'm pretty dialed into this one. I did a pretty good, hefty amount of prep and some forethought. I just don't know how well it's going to do because Jacoby destroyed me last time we played. Jacoby's really good at this, and I'm just going to do my best at this rate. I feel like a high B tier player going up against a high A tier. Anything can happen on any given Sunday, but we'll see how this goes.
Starring Al Pacino, your favorite actor. Let's go over to Jacoby Bancroft. Jacoby, you're a high A tier player, according to Mr. Koho. Your thoughts on this comment from Mr. Koho?
That's so nice. And Koho can be really nice and give me compliments, but the reason why I'm so pissed and want to beat Koho here more than I've ever wanted to beat anybody before is because this is the only time you'll ever hear me say this is I was in the Schmodown, right? I was in the Schmodown, and in my first match, Koho messaged me beforehand when I left to go to the Schmodown. Koho said, "Make a Pirates of the Caribbean reference your first match." And I did make a Pirates of the Caribbean exactly for Koho, and he didn't say shit. So no, so it's gonna be fun. This is I think it's gonna be fun. I always get
What was the reference?
I said that after, because I won my match and I was very nervous, and I said afterwards, it's like I feel like I'm Elizabeth Swann standing on top of the tower in Pirates of the Caribbean and about to faint. I said that, and then my phone was silent. After everything after, I was like, wow. Our former teammates. We were the greatest team of all time, Koho.
We are.
We do that in the
Well,
chat.
Like most of the community here, people don't watch the post-match interviews,
Hurt.
so you should have made it in the match, Jacoby.
Probably got the message.
Let's get into it. This is how it's gonna work. So the players drafted categories from the world of Fandom and Melee, and then we gave them questions based off those categories. And then tonight they're gonna debate those questions before our very souls. They will each get 1 minute to open, 5-minute freeform, and a 1-minute closing at the end of the debate. Mark, Cody, and I will write on our boards who we thought won the debate. The person to get 2 out of 3 votes from us will get a point. First person to 3 points wins the match. So, any questions from the competitors?
Nope.
Fantastic. Then without further ado, let's get into it. Love that clip more and more every time. Okay, so we are going to kick this off with your first question. It was drafted by Jacoby Bancroft in the category of Jimmy B, James Bond. And your question is, what is the coolest gadget used by Bond? So we are going to kick this off with Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking. I will come in to give you the 10-second warning when the time comes.
The coolest gadget used by Bond is the exploding pen grenade in GoldenEye. This pen represents everything cool about James Bond in that it's the epitome of taking something seemingly average, but then putting it in the hands of the coolest man in the world. It suddenly becomes the coolest thing ever. And it speaks to the coolness of the Bond character. It's a seemingly simple device, but everything from how the pen is introduced at Q Branch, establishing the new cool rapport between new Bond, Brosnan, and Q, to the tenseness of the scene where Bond actually uses the pen and has to prove he's an intelligent secret agent by counting the clicks that Boris is using to time his attack perfectly, to how the pen itself is the catalyst to destroy Alex's entire base of operations. It's the coolest gadget that Bond has ever used. So by its deceptiveness, by its way of building up Brosnan as an excellent, cool new Bond in a new series, to how it's used in both the introduction scene and its final exploding scene, all of that makes the exploding pen the coolest gadget used by Bond.
Time. Okay. We're going to move over to Mr. Koho. Kaleb, you have, it was weird. I just called you Kaleb. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
Only one Bond gadget changed America and Britain and everything as a whole, and that's the Aston Martin DB5. So that gadget is not only the coolest one because of all the things it can do. It has the revolving plates, it has the dashboard, it has the ejector seat, it has the oil slick, the machine guns that come up out of the front wings, the rear bulletproof screen, the smoke screen, it slashes tires. It is the most practical tool in his arsenal, and it is so cool, so iconic, and so effective to that character that when Jacoby's like, oh, the exploding pen encapsulates Bond. No, the Aston Martin DB5 is the gadget that encapsulates Bond from Jump Street. From Goldfinger on, there's a reason they bring it back in later movies. There's a reason it's a staple. There's a reason why when it comes back in Skyfall, it's like the greatest moment of all time. It is such a cool gadget that is such an important piece of the Bond iconography that is important to him as a character and to his skill set. It is the coolest thing that he has in all the movies.
Time. Okay. All right, guys, 5-minute freeform. When one of you starts talking, I will throw up the 1 minute warning when the time comes, as well as the 10-second I will come in for. If one of you talks for too long, I will throw up the let's move on. Don't make me do that. It will make me very sad and angry, and I'm going to have to call Nick to come beat you up. So again, 5-minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
Okay, sure. The Aston Martin, I think, comes with a fatal flaw because the question is used by Bond, and it makes Bond look like an idiot because you're misremembering the fact that when Bond actually uses the Aston Martin, he is driving, he sees reflections in a mirror far away, he turns and drives and crashes it into concrete, and then it's revealed that there is no other car, that it's a gigantic mirror that it was used to trick himself, and he knocks himself out. It makes Bond look like Austin Powers more than James Bond. He has to use it in an intelligent way, and it it ends in such a dumb, stupid way that it loses some of its coolness. Whereas my exploding pen is used effectively to make Bond even cooler than he already is.
If the exploding pen was such a cool gadget, they wouldn't be making fun of it in Skyfall, where he's like, "Oh, what are you expecting an exploding pen?" Because they write it off as the dumbest thing he's ever had. It is the encapsulation of why Bond is a really shit character and a really dumb franchise, where a lot of his movies are just stuffed full of dumb plot devices and plot conveniences to get out of things, and are really cheesy and like stupid. But like the Aston Martin DB5 is one where, like you said, even in that moment, it makes Bond a human character. In like, he's not going to constantly be good at everything. I don't want to watch a character who does that. But the coolest thing about it is that that gadget has a personality and a character just like Bond does, and helps him beat the bad guys in a way that an exploding pen helps him for 2 seconds and then is a joke later.
No, it's not. It doesn't help him for 2 seconds. It is the crux of the entire final scene where he uses it and it actually sees Bond be. And I'm sorry, you say you want Bond to be human, you want Bond to be normal, you want Bond to be lame. I'm sorry, James Bond isn't like that. James Bond is a cool character. That's James Bond's whole thing. And the fact that he uses something very simple at first and uses it in a very cool way that shows how intelligent he is in order to complete his mission, as opposed to yours, which causes him to get knocked out and captured by the end of it, makes it seem like he can't handle something that's cool, where he should be using the devices to be cool around that. So the pen is much cooler than the Aston Martin. Yours comes with all the bells and whistles, but when it's actually used by Bond, the coolness factor comes from the exploding pen.
No, the coolest factor of the Aston Martin DB5 is every time he uses it after that one instance. The one instance is used as a way to establish that Bond is not perfect. I didn't say he needed to be lame, but I think that when he is perfect and unbeatable, it's a really boring character. And that car is so cool as part of his entire persona, because it's then an obstacle for him to overcome and use. And once he masters it, he's able to beat everyone, and he's able to do the amazing things with it, where he's able to use the oil slick to get away from people, to escape when the bulletproof glass hits, and uses the ejector seat. And I love that even in further adventures outside the first one, it is still used constantly and referenced constantly as one of his greatest achievements and greatest skills. The only thing special about yours is it's essentially a grenade that looks like a pen. There's nothing special about that, and there's nothing intelligent about it. You click the pen twice and it blows up. Like,
there is no, you click it 3 times and it blows up, and he has to time it perfectly because the villain is using it incorrectly and he's doing it at a random interval. So Bond has to actually analyze the situation and do it, proving that he is the coolest secret agent alive, as opposed to yours where you said, oh, they keep bringing it back in other movies. It's like, yeah, it brings it back in other movies, and it is cooler in different movies. I don't know why you didn't choose the Aston Martin in No Time to Die, because that is him using it effectively and coolly in a matter. This one, he's using the devices and the things fine, but it ends in a very stupid way. And if he's not using the device effectively in order to do it, then it's not that cool. I'm sorry. Yes, the Aston Martin itself is cool, but you have to combine that with the Bond character itself. Bond takes not cool looking things and makes them cool. And that's what's awesome about James Bond. And it's the fact that where you said like, oh, they made fun of it in Skyfall, but guess what? In later Daniel Craig movies, they go back to the gadgets and everything like that because they know that is the epitome of the Bond character. So the exploding pen is cool.
Yeah, but good. Thank you for pointing that up. They bring back the Aston Martin. They don't bring back the exploding pen because the Aston Martin is the cooler gadget. It does more, and he's able to do more with it. That's the point. And also, last time I checked, the question does not say in a single movie. It says overall. It says, what's the coolest gadget used by a Bond? So Bond's coolest gadget, which he uses through the entire of the franchise, is the Aston Martin. So you're right. It is cool when he's whipping people around in No Time to Die. It is cool when he goes to Skyfall with Judi Dench in Skyfall. It is cool when he uses it with the oil slick to get away. It is cool when he has the bulletproof glass to save his life. That car is so perfectly used with that character throughout the entire series that's why it comes back. It's because it's so ingrained in him. And those two things, the word cool with Bond is the Aston Martin. Those two are so synonymous in that. Whereas you're like, oh, he makes a simple thing look cool. He's not doing anything to make it look cool. He's counting. The movie makes it look
he's planning it. He's planning it specifically in order to use it properly because he has to analyze the skills that he has in order to use it effectively. And then something so tiny, so minuscule comes in and ends up destroying the entire base. He uses it to knock it perfectly and win the fight. There's nothing more cooler than that.
Time. Okay, Koho, we're going to kick it off with you for closings. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Jacoby himself kind of shot himself in the foot when he pointed out that the Aston Martin is cool in other movies besides Goldfinger. But the thing is, it's great in Goldfinger because he uses it by the end of the movie. He has mastered this gadget that then he uses throughout the series, throughout all the movies, to be a better spy, and it makes him cool, and he makes it cool. They are the combined factor of the word cool when you think of this dumb franchise. franchise. When he brings up the pen, he's like, "Oh, it's this easy, simple pen thing that he makes look really cool." The movie itself does not make that look cool. It is like a really interesting thing that happens at the end that blows up the tension of the movie, makes that a relevant plot point. But if it were really that cool, it would come back besides a throwaway joke in Skyfall. At the end of the day, there's nothing special about that weapon, and it doesn't make Bond look cool, and Bond does not make it look cool. It is a pen that blows up. You can get one that blows up ink for $1 at your local Jolly Tree. There is nothing special about an exploding fucking pen. The Aston Martin does everything with the guns and the oil slick, and there's things that they replicate throughout the entire series, like he says in No Time to Die, that are so iconic to Bond.
Iconic to Bond. Please strike it from the record. Also, did you say Jolly Tree?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I thought it was Dollar Tree. Maybe there's a Jolly Tree, different brand. I don't know. Jacoby, you have a 1 minute closing when you start talking.
It's an Aston Martin. I know that it's cool, but you have to look at how the gadget was used by Bond, and shockingly, the car makes in Goldfinger, which is what Koho picked, makes Bond seem not very cool. He crashes it because he's fooled by his own reflection, and that makes it seem like Bond is not capable, and he's a little bit of an idiot. The pen, on the other hand, represents Bond at his best. It's used as the central crux for establishing Brosnan as this new Bond, and the actual scene using the pen is so much fun, as Boris keeps clicking the pen at odd intervals, forcing Bond to count and time his attack perfectly, to the result of the pen exploding and wiping out the bad guy's layer. That's such classic Bond. James Bond is already the coolest movie character itself. Don't let Koho pigeonhole that into, oh, he's actually kind of lame, he's normal, he's everything like that. Bond is cool, and his coolest gadgets are the ones that don't look menacing, but when put in his hands, can be the coolest thing ever. The Aston Martin in Goldfinger has the opposite effect, where it makes Bond look like he can't handle it. Koho picked the one gadget that Bond ever mishandles and misjudges in the whole history of the Bond franchise, whereas my gadget is cool because Bond uses it effectively to win the fight.
Effectively to win the fight? My lord! Judges, please disregard these competitors in there. Not able to handle the time limit. My goodness.
Oh, sorry, we just get so hot under the collar.
Okay. You guys ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a couple things to say. One, I was really excited for this fight. I had finished off my Miller Lite, so while you guys were talking, I went off to grab another beer.
Wow.
I like different types of specialty beer, like maybe one James Bond would. So I'm trying this Honey Crisp Lager. It's fucking terrible. Too much honey, not enough crisp. I'm a little upset. So if I'm on edge, that's why. I went with Jacoby Bancroft, aka JB, aka James Bond. I thought this was good. I think that the Aston Martin is like, I can spoil this because the airing of the matches will have take place earlier. We haven't shot it yet, but we recently did coolest Batman gadget as well. And someone asked, like, can you pick a vehicle? And I was like, I don't see why fucking not. So I think the Aston Martin totally counts. And I think that Koho did a good job of explaining the Aston Martin, why it's a cool car and whatnot. But I thought that Jacoby did a really good job of kind of explaining to me, like, why in the hands of James Bond, it's just meh, and why the pen, like, he was able to convince me why a pen was cool, which I wasn't expecting going into it. And to be completely honest, I've blocked out most Bond knowledge from my brain. And so I don't remember the exploding pen scene, but just from the descriptions of Jacoby, I thought he did a really good job. And I thought his knockdowns of the car were stronger than Koho's knockdowns on the pen. But that being said, I realize how ridiculous that sounds. So, Cody, do you agree with me? Or is this one of those classic Tim and Cody moments?
Really surprised no one picked the jetpack from Thunderball. That has to be just a flipping gem of a moment. So, basically, one of Jacoby, fantastic opening. Like, I thought painted the picture exactly well, right where we needed to go. made me very sad because I wish I ever had an opening like that, but I never do. So well done with that. I think overall, the point of the fight that got really confusing for me was the coolest point in the gadget used by Bond when the question was reiterated. The problem with that is Jacoby opened that door. If Koho opened that door and said the Aston Martin from all Bond, that would have held stronger than seeing him talk about No Time to Die and then be like, well, it applies to everything. I'm just going to apply it now. It seemed like he was going with Goldfinger until he realized, oh, yeah, he drives that thing into the side of the wall. So I went with Jacoby. I think he tried to use it as a cleanup, and it didn't work. So overall, I had to go with Jacoby. I think that was a really well played fight by Jacoby all around, honestly.
Okay, Mark.
Good job from Koho. It's just better from Jacoby.
Mark, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone and why?
Okay. I also would have gone with Jacoby. I think Koho made the exact argument you should about the Aston Martin for the most part. It's iconic. Like, it's kind of synonymous with what we think about Bond. But I think Jacoby just kind of came in guns blazing with talking up, of all things, a fucking pen. Like, I was really surprised, like, kind of how he tied in how a pen, like, kind of not only makes James Bond cool, but also says a lot about him as a character. I thought it was a very clever way, and he also had good attacks on Koho for the car. Like, so it was a really good fight, but I had to go with Jacoby.
Okay. All right. So Jacoby leads 1-0 as we move into the next category, which was drafted by Kaleb in the category of classics. Your question is, which classic Frank Capra film deserves to be remade the most? Kaleb, you're going to kick this one off. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
I think a really good Capra movie that was lost to time is Meet John Doe, and they should make this movie again. And my big reason for that is because if you don't know what Meet John Doe is, it's about a newspaper that is really down on their luck, that is really struggling to get to sell papers, and they have someone, a reporter, who comes up with the story that someone's going to jump off a roof and die publicly and airs their grievances with society in the paper. To put a name to that, they hire a guy, Gary Cooper, to then portray that guy, turning him into a symbol that America sort of then rallies around as being the working man, but it's all predicated on a lie, and eventually it's going to have to end with him jumping off a roof, and the whole dynamics between that romance and that relationship and that paper and all the growing lies that are happening. And I think the sensationalization of media being the subject of the film would be really great, especially if you update it today, use social media, use cloud, use content creation, and talk about how our attention spans today through Meet John Doe.
Time. Okay. We're going to move over to Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
You phrase this in an interesting way. Deserves to be remade makes it sound like the original movie was bad or that a remake could be relevant for modern times. But Capra didn't have a ton of really bad movies, and making one of his films relevant in today's time is frankly a little naive because his movies are so of their time. But I think there's another approach to this. I think Arsenic and Old Lace is the film that deserves to be remade the most because it's a masterclass performance comedy that more actors should have a chance to get to perform. We remake Shakespeare plays into movies all the time with slightly different tweaks each time, so why can't we do that with Arsenic and Old Lace? The film can be remade with a few modern tweaks without any big issue and give comedic actors a slam dunk win or let a dramatic actor stretch their comedy muscles in surprising ways. Great directors can put their own spin on it visually, and great actors can give fantastic performances. Its story and its script transcends just the 40s when it was made, and its dark comedy aspect is perhaps more perfect today than it was back then. For all those reasons, Arsenic and Old Lace is the Capra film that deserves to be remade the most.
Much to the dismay of my dear friend Cody Newberry, I've never seen either of these films, so this is going to be very interesting. 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
So the big issue with remaking Arsenic and Old Lace, I like your your sensibility about doing Arsenic Gold Lace. The issue is that you still have to stack up against the first Arsenic Gold Lace. Anytime you try and come back to a movie and go, we're going to update, remake, modernize, you still have to take the original into account. And there's no reality where anyone tops what Cary Grant does in Arsenic and Old Lace. And there's no reality where anyone's able to nail what Capra's sensibility is to Arsenic and Old Lace. And while you can give someone else a chance, all you're doing is creating lesser and lesser versions like we do with Lion King and Aladdin on Arsenic and Old Lace. You cannot beat the first Arsenic and Old Lace, whereas my update actually can improve the source material of each Onda.
No, see, I think you're wrong there. I think the lead character of Mortimer Brewster, played by Cary Grant in Arsenic and Old Lace, is the role that like Ryan Gosling would be perfect for. And while that's great, and I'd love to see that, that's a slam dunk right there. Let's switch things up. You say it's like, oh, nobody can do it. I want to give people the chance. I want to give John Hamm another shot at mainstream comedy stardom, which he can do in Rock. Let's let up and comers like Jeremy Allen White from The Bear or Glenn Powell show off their comedic timing and make them movie stars. I personally would love to see an updated all black cast with Sterling K. Brown as Mortimer and Idris Elba as his murderous brother Jonathan. All of that shows that this movie deserves to be remade the most because it can give us more excellent performances from our favorite actors doing something slightly different than Cary Grant did in interesting ways. Your movie is a terrible choice to remake because it's a movie because you danced around in the thing. It's about a newspaper that lies to its public and has about someone committing suicide, and you want to update that. I don't want a movie remade right now about the mainstream media lying to us and dealing with a fake suicide note. That's like Dear Evan Hansen all over again, and that went awful.
Okay, so here's the thing. What you missed is that what the entire crux of that movie is at its core is about sensationalization of the media. It doesn't have to be newspapers, doesn't have to be media. It can be TikTok's media now. Facebook is media now. That is what media is today. And I think that by doing this idea, this general concept of someone lying and our attention spans when it comes to this guy's going to jump and doing that today, and you can do so much commentary on today with that story and with that crux that is still so true to that original story. And with Capra, my issue with Arsenic and Old Lace is why not just write something totally new for those characters to do that? You don't have to remake Arsenic and Old Lace. You can just do a new movie where those actors have the chance to do that. There's no point in touching a perfect classic and remaking it and tainting the original just because you want to see someone else play a part like that. Just make that new part.
It is a stage play. The point of stage plays, when they're on there, they can be adapted in different ways. But that has been done for years about people redoing different plays and making them slightly different and putting new and unique spins on them. And I think letting those actors have a chance to perform this very excellent, very sharp, very funny screenplay is so much better than watching a movie about TikTok media lying to us. If any of these judges would prefer to watch a movie about TikTok media lying rather than like Sterling K. Brown giving the comedic performance of his life or Glenn Powell giving a comedic performance of his life, then you win, I guess. But that's ridiculous. That movie sounds awful, and that's why Capra's movies and his sensibility of one man can make a difference in order to change the hearts and minds of America. That's hard to update to today. Just don't do that. Let Capra's movies and messages be in the 40s, kind of where they belong, and let this stage play, which is excellent and is timeless, be made today in a more, in different ways.
I think Capra is exactly what we need today. So by bringing back his optimism and his entire persona of what he was about today is really nice instead of going into these weird like you're right. If you did the cynicism of Dear Evan Hansen, that's why that story doesn't work. So try and bring that Capra brightness back into the world in a different way. That idea of, jumping off a roof and killing yourself sounds dark, but Capra's entire idea of that story can be redone. The Coen brothers could do this today and it would be amazing because you can they've done it. Huts Like a Proxy and everything. They can absolutely take this tone, take Emma Stone and put her in as the new reporter, I don't even know, let's take, John Hamm. If you want to make John Hamm your guy, then fine, give him the chance to be the bright, shiny guy who ends up falling into this position that he never believed in. My movie is doing exactly what you want it to do, except what you're doing is tainting an original, and mine is improving one that could have been better in the 40s.
Your still movie is based around the idea of media lying and suicide, Koho. That is not the movie that I want to see and deserves to be remade. The movie that deserves to be remade is the movie that didn't do so well in the 40s at the box office because it was too dark for comedy and can fit today. You say Coen brothers can direct my movie. I would rather see Coen brothers direct an adaptation of a stage play that is excellent and fits with their dark comic sensibilities than something about a character who was on TikTok and then lies and then is going to kill himself at the end. I still don't know how you're updating your movie better to where it was. We're still the Capra's thing of you saying like we need that today. No, Capra's movies are very specific of their time and they're hard to remake today. So why do that completely? Well, you can just do something better with mine.
Time. Okay. We're going to start with Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Again, we're talking about a Capra movie that deserves to be remade. Meet John Doe does not deserve a remake. It deserves to stay in the 40s where we can enjoy it and not have us change absolutely everything about lying mainstream media, suicides, that schmaltzy one man can change the hearts and minds of all of America. If we have to change that much because the story is outdated, that movie does not deserve a remake. Now, what does deserve a remake is Arsenic and Old Lace. It's one of the best comedies from the 40s and delivered an exceptional comedic performances from everyone involved. I want that again. I want to give actors who aren't known for being usually funny a chance to shine. I want chances to make brand new comedy stars out of some of our favorite actors. I want different variations of the same story from different filmmakers. I want the Coen brothers to direct a version of this because they'd be excellent at it. And they would keep the heart of the story intact. And that's the difference, I think, between Koho and myself, where we have to change a whole lot of it, where mine can stay relatively the same, but give different tweaks thanks to performance and directors. And it's one of the rare comedies that can be made pretty easily and still with great effect.
Okay, we're going to move over to Kaleb. Koho, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Jacoby said a lot of things that I didn't say and tried to say I said it. The point I'm trying to make is that you can update what the form of media is and do the same story exactly the way it is. Because no one dies at the end. There's no actual suicide, but the entire sensationalization of creating a story and then having to put a face to it, because at the end of the day, you're going to get caught in your lie. You can take that entire structure, put it today, use Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, whatever social media XYZ you want to use instead of a newspaper, and you can tell a lot more about today than you could in the 40s. That's more relevant than the story told in the 40s. The issue he keeps saying is he's not pitching you anything. He's just saying, hey, do this again today with a different actor, which I don't want, because at the end of the day, if you remake something, a readaptation, if you want, every Macbeth is worse than the last one, potentially. That's the issue you run into. Arsenic and Lace is perfect as is. I don't need to see Adam Driver make the story. I don't need to see the Coen brothers make the story, because Capra just made the perfect version that is perfect to the 40s, and I never need to see it done again. He's pitching, making It's a Wonderful Life again. I don't need that. Whereas Meet John Doe can absolutely be updated the way I said it could.
Time. Okay. For the record, the Muppets remade It's a Wonderful Life. It didn't even work out for my beloved Muppets. But not a big fan of that. Although Joan Cusack's good. Okay.
Who does she play in that? Okay, sorry.
Imagine
I
she's
think of the wrong one. I'm pretty sure she's in it.
Joan Cusack plays George Bailey. I love that, actually.
No, Kermit is George Bailey. In this.
I wish it was.
It's not like Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Muppet movie where they do the whole thing where he says, I wish I'd never been born. Anyway. Okay. So.
Jimmy Stewart, Kermit, similar voices?
Absolutely.
Honestly, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. Mark, you're leading this one off.
Alrighty. I always get caught because usually whenever we do these remade things, we usually have to pick between one that this one be kind of new to visit, and and then we have there's a movie that we all kind of know and would be cool to see that movie again, and I feel like usually just kind of depends how it's argued, and I think in this case, Koho gave at least he gave a really good argument. I think why this movie I honestly had never heard of before would at least be interesting to hear of from today, at least kind of as media examples, and I think just in general kind of talking down of do we really need another version of Arsenic and Old Lace when we already have the original?
Having not seen either of these movies, I have many thoughts on this debate. For the first little bit, I thought we were definitely talking about that movie starring Brad Pitt. Is that called Meet Joe Black? Definitely thought we were talking about that movie. And I was very confused as to how old Frank Capra was, but then I realized that was not the film we were talking about. I'm kidding, of course. Anyway, I thought that I thought both openings very strong. Koho painted a really good picture of me. That's the type of we were kind of talking off call earlier about how we don't really do pitch questions anymore. This sort of turned into a pitch question where the players were pitching me their remake. And I thought Koho did a really good job of like showing me what an updated version of his movie would be like, painted the picture of what it was to me who haven't seen it and what it could look like in present day. But I thought Jacoby also did a very strong job of kind of saying, you know, I'm taking a movie that's really, really loved, and this is what I would do to it. And I thought through most of the free form, Jacoby was kind of clobbering Kaleb. I really did. I thought that Jacoby was doing a really good job of talking about like why we didn't need to see why Meet John Doe, is that what it's called? Sorry, could stay in the 40s. But then Koho came out in his closing and actually won me over. So Koho wins the point. I thought that Koho's closing was exceptionally strong. Jacoby's closing, which in some cases it works, in this case it didn't for me, mostly recapped all of his points that he had repeated over and over again in the free form. And while it worked for me in the free form, Koho brought up a lot of stuff in his closing to kind of combat Jacoby's that I thought worked really well, and it worked for me. So I went there. I'm honestly a little surprised because I thought I was voting Jacoby for sure, and I would have to say like, Kaleb, I'm sorry, I don't hate you, I swear. But he won me over by the end. So Cody.
Yeah, it was weird. Deserves was kind of a hard part of the question, to be honest with you. I didn't know where to really side with it. And I feel like when Koho said TikTok, I feel like he just handed like Jacoby like a full round of clip of bullets and just said, "Why don't you stand against that wall and watch me paint the wall?" Like he was like, "Let's fucking go, suicide and TikTok. I got this." But the more the fight was, I think he used all of his time to pepper Koho and punch Koho, while not really telling me why Arsenic and Old Lace deserved the sequel. He told me people that would play in it, give people a different role, but didn't know why it needed to be updated or why it deserved as much besides new actors and new roles because it's a stage play. So I had to go with Koho. But I thought if he spent a little bit more time of like painting it in a different light, would have clearly won. But Koho was able to Rocky it, stay without his hands up, but hit that final blow. So it worked.
That's really funny. I definitely thought I was going to be the odd man out on this one voting for Koho, but you guys all agreed with me. Interesting. All right, we're going to move on to the next question. We're tied up 1-1, and we're moving on to the next category that Jacoby drafted. And I'm excited about this one. I think this will be fun in the category of actors and actresses. The question is, what is the most successful actor combo? 2 men, 2 women, 1 of each, whatever you want to do. So, Jacoby, I have to burp. I'm sorry. You're opening this.
It's that bad beer, isn't it? When you are looking at the most successful actor combo, I think one of the most important things to judge that on is time and also what the two can bring out of each other. That's why Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci is the most successful actor combo, I think, ever. Over the course of 40 years, we've seen this partnership deliver absolute magic on the screen in just about every form imaginable. We've seen brotherly stubborn love in Raging Bull. We've seen adoration and respect in Goodfellas. We've seen animosity and simmering tension in Casino. And we've seen a mentor/mentee relationship in The Irishman. All of these relationships, plus additional scenes and vibes and things like Once Upon a Time in America and A Bronx Tale, all have redefined the gangster genre in a way that we'll probably never see again. These two help each other give career best work, and they both couldn't really do it without the other. That's why they are the most successful actor combo, I think, ever. There's almost nothing like it when these two are on screen together, and it's been that way almost literally forever throughout their entire careers. Them together is electrifying, and that's what makes them one of the reasons why they're the most successful actor combo.
We're going to move over to Koho. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
I think the most successful acting duo is one that we didn't get enough time with, but with the limited amount of time we have, delivered the perfect 3-movie combo of all time. With Al Pacino and John Cazale, they delivered The Godfather Part 2, and Dog Day Afternoon with 3 completely different context of performances. In Dog Day Afternoon, you have an impish, sort of nervous, anxious Al Pacino up against a maniac, a confident and angry John Cazale, which is the complete opposite out of The Godfather Part 2, where you have John Cazale doing so much conniving and quiet meditation that bubbles into a terrified, just fearing for his life from Al Pacino, who is able to deliver such cold and calculated rage of confidence. And in the first one, even where Al Pacino is growing into that person, is this like, I want nothing to do, and John Cazale being like, give me everything. To see them play three different dynamics of these people to give these three movies, which I think are three perfect movies all in a row, an unbeatable trio.
Time. Okay. So 5-minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
Okay, so you're basing yours off three movies that came out with, I think, within like 3 years of each other, and even that's like iffy to me. That's such a small microcosm of work. You said it yourself as your very first line. It's like, we didn't get enough of this, and that's exactly why it cannot be the most successful of all time. Obviously, Pacino and Cazale's movies are like the best movies, but really ask yourself if those three movies are dependent on Pacino and Cazale together. The second Godfather, yes, but the first Godfather and Dog Day Afternoon, absolutely not. Whereas the movies that De Niro and Pesci are in together work because of the chemistry and bonds between the two, and we've been able to see that grow and adapt over 40 years, and that's what makes that more successful.
I'd actually argue The Irishman is more about Pacino and De Niro, and that Pesci is actually kind of a third wheel and not that important to that in terms of his performance. He's kind of sleepwalking and doing an alternate version of Goodfellas. When it comes to my three, you can't really fault it because Cazale died. Like, you can't say because we didn't have enough or more, that means it's less. At the end of the day, we have three to go off of, and those three to go off of are the most successful. If we had many more, probably even better than anyone we've ever seen. In terms of what we have to go off of, this is the best because you're right. These three, unbeatable movies, but they are all dependent on Cazale and Pacino's chemistry, because if Dog Day Afternoon comes out and Cazale is not intimidating Al Pacino at every turn, then that movie doesn't work. If in the first one, Fredo doesn't hype up Michael by the end and you have the whole ending in Vegas, that movie falls apart. And in Godfather Part 2, those two don't work off each other, then The Godfather Part 2 is the worst sequel of all time. So all of those are dependent on those two, where again, my issue with Pacino and with Pesci and De Niro is that a lot of those are repetitive performances.
See, I think that's just a misread of the situation. You can't start your argument saying like they would have been the most successful of all time, but we were robbed of it. That doesn't make them the most successful of all time. And the thing about the Cazale and Pacino specifically, Kirk sent me a fucking book about Cazale, and it made me realize that Cazale does great support work. He builds up other actors in the way that they need. But here's the thing: he builds up Pacino, but he also builds up Hackman in the conversation, and he builds up De Niro and the Deer Hunter in the exact same way. He can build up anyone. So why is Pacino and Cazale the most successful actor combo of all time? The better answer is De Niro and Pesci, who went together create these compelling push-pulls relationships that are all mostly within the same gangster genre, yes, which is kind of what you said about they're kind of the same, but mine completely new depths every single time. The relationships in the brothers in Raging Bull and compared to Casino and Goodfellas, they're both love in Goodfellas and hatred in Casino, and you're just knocking off Irishman as a supporting role. Yes, it's a supporting role in it, but De Niro is now a mentee to the mentor Pesci. That's such a range of different things that you have here, where as opposed to yours, it's a very small things, and we say like, oh, Dog Day Afternoon, you need those two. No, and in Dog Day Afternoon, Pacino is more going off of Chris Sarandon and Charles During instead, while Cazale is kind of off to the side. They're not the most successful actor combo together. They're just in good movies together.
The reason why Pacino's better is because he brings the best out of Cazale in all three. That is a two-way relationship. Cazale's not great in the conversation with Al Pacino, and he's completely fine. And he's fine in The Deer Hunter. He's a good supporting actor, like you said. But the best work Cazale ever got is when Pacino brought it out of him, and the best work Pacino's ever had is when Cazale brought it out of him. That is what makes them the best duo. Because you're completely wrong about Dog Day Afternoon. It is all Cazale and Pacino. Sarandon's nomination is bullshit, and the entire cast there does not do to the extent of what Cazale does for Pacino. Dog Day Afternoon is entirely a Cazale-Pacino picture, where if Cazale, who is being written off even by you, is an underrated work on his part, and that is the most successful group. The best duo is the ones that bring the best out of each other, and you keep bringing it up. They do the same kinds of movies over and over and over because that's all Pesci is able to do is that one lane. He's able to stay in that one lane and do one variation of that one lane, which is either I love you or I hate you. Whereas De Niro, who is one of the greatest actors of all time, would have been a great pick to pick with Pacino, where you would have been able to even have a better argument. Because at the end of the day, Pesci is okay, Pacino's better, and Cazale's better than Niro.
You're just saying like, oh, Cazale's bad in all the other movies except for the ones he's in with in Pacino. That's crazy. That's preposterous. And you keep saying that it's the one note performance, but that is not true. You picking one movie. You talk specifically about Dog Day Afternoon, about how the fact that is the most, but that is one movie, Koho. I'm talking about 40 years of work where they are doing very different things. And if you can't see that they are doing very different things in these 6 movies, then you're a crazy person. It's not even just acting. De Niro has directed Pesci twice in these movies, and it shows that their relationship and what they can bring out of each other, and they know what brings the best from each other in order to do this. That's what makes a most successful actor combo. Yes, Dog Day Afternoon is a good movie. Godfather 2 is one of the best movies of all time, but it's not dependent on their successful combo together, and that's what De Niro and Pesci are doing together. They are making these movies the best gangster movies ever, and they are doing something different every single time that they do it, and for you not to see that is crazy.
I'm just surprised nobody picks Cheech and Chong. All right, we're going to start with right there. Or, Owen Wilson and Larry the Cable Guy. We're going to start with Koho on this one. Koho, you get 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Across all 3 films, it's Cazale that brings the best out of Pacino, Pacino that brings the best out of Cazale. In the first movie, Cazale, in that big Vegas moment where he actually gets his showcase in that movie, he and Pacino are the best moment where they define those characters in such a way that we're going to go into 2, and they're going to expand upon it, where Cazale gets to be terrified and conniving, and Pacino gets to be the guy in the chair making the decisions, the guy I could trust, the relationship there and their dynamics. And Dog Day Afternoon, they do something completely different from that, where Cazale gets to be the one that intimidates Pacino, that scares Pacino, and Pacino has to go along with it to the point where he's trying to help people, and Cazale's threatening to kill the people that he's trying to help, where they're almost at odds inside of a bank. When it comes to the De Niro thing, you're like, oh, he directs Pesci in very small bits that were not flattering to his career. If he knew what was best for him, he would have directed him in a way that Scorsese does in the others. But again, at the end of the day, De Niro is De Niro, towering. I'm the guy. I'm the most impressive actor of all time. And Pesci doesn't do a whole lot opposite of him in any of those movies. He is there. De Niro's winning.
I'm sorry, I showed my card there a little bit. We're gonna move over to Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
The breadth and the depth of the De Niro and Pesci actor combo is one of the greatest achievements in all of acting history. Koho's talking out of his ass is just like, Pesci's not very good. But no, it takes 2 very special actors to be in the rhythm that Pesci and De Niro always are for 40 years. And that's the thing. They've always been this way. From their beginnings, Koho said these movies are the same, and that's a misread of all these movies. They're Hot-Headed Brothers and Raging Bull all the way through the classic gangster era, and ending with The Irishman is the perfect cap on 40 years of working together and constantly doing new and interesting things to bring out to each other. Yes, I'm not going to lie like Koho does and say like his movies are bad. They're great movies, but they are not dependent on Pacino and Cazale together. They are not the catalyst for the greatness of these movies. The fact that De Niro and Pesci have worked together as long as they have and put a stamp on the gangster genre in the way that nobody else was capable of doing is amazing. And Koho keeps saying like all 3 films, yeah, it's small films in a microcosm. I'm talking about a whole breadth of work over 40 years. It is so much better.
All right, we're gonna move over to Koho. Or no, we already did Koho's, right? Yeah, I'm stupid. Koho wants to go again.
Sure, I'll go again.
I got very distracted because I forgot to hit start on Jacoby's time, and so I was like, I knew it was like 6 seconds off, so I was like watching the clock to make sure I was coming in at the right time. Okay. Anyway. And that happens more than you think. And someone's calling me. Nick Tuig is calling me. We'll be right back. All right. So I believe, and there he is. All right. So we're gonna kick this one off with Cody. Cody, you're gonna start.
Yeah. So most successful actor combo. What a great question. Fun question. Thought it was interesting. Really don't know how to really judge this, like overall, because they painted the picture. They painted the picture of why both are together a great unit. So yes, both are successful. I don't deem like accolades or what they are. I think Jacoby did a really good job of saying, yes, your 3 movies are fantastic. No one's denying that. But I think where he centered it and where it was an interesting conversation, and again, I've never seen this question debated before, so kind of first time, so judge it however you want. But I had to judge it as kind of where he made a crux of the argument very interesting, where is that movie dependent on these 2? Why makes it so dependent, and what they're able to stretch over these movies? I didn't really care about like how different they are. I thought Koho kind of took shit and tried to throw it to the wall, like see what sticks with like, oh, Deer Hunter, he's whatever, and this is fine, blah, 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 and that nomination's bullshit. Like, I get it, but overall, I think he did enough takedowns of the 3 movies where I had to go with Jacoby. But a very interesting conversation, and I'd never seen it before, so well done.
Mark.
Yeah, I think Koho had a very interesting answer, not because, Pacino and Cazale, good parent, but because he invoked the name of John Cazale, and I think tried to get Jacoby off his game. Because the last time the actor John Cazale was invoked in a match with Jacoby, fireworks went off. I think he's trying to, get him back in the psych ward by bringing up John Cazale again. But I think I'm going to give it to Jacoby. I don't know where I was going with that. But I just think in general, Jacoby did such a great job, I think, of painting a picture of how De Niro and Pacino become synonymous with each other, and how they play such different roles, I think, across like every movie. And something I didn't normally think about, just because like every movie they do are crime films, but like it was a really interesting point. And I think for the most part, like Jacoby had just good takedowns off of Pacino, because they are doing great movies, but he has one of 2 actors that just go across 40 years of time. So I had to go with Jacoby.
All right, my vote doesn't count, and now I'm just thinking of. I didn't even think about that. I mean, Jacoby brought it up, like Kirk sent him the book, but now I can't get the. It might be my favorite fan zone moment of all time is Kirk just throwing his water bottle, saying, "Yeah, it's ridiculous." Whatever he said, oh, it's so good. I also went with Jacoby. I think that Koho did what he could. I thought his answer on paper, very good. Honestly made me question whether there were more than the 3. And I think Jacoby was really smart to say, yes, your 3 movies are amazing, but it's not about the movies, it's about the combo. And in Godfather Part 2, absolutely. But what is he doing in the other 2? I thought Koho did the best he could. I think he actually kind of won me over on the Dog Day Afternoon aspect, and why Cazale and Pacino are important in that one. But I think Jacoby was really strong in painting the picture of Pacino, of Pesci and De Niro, and Koho couldn't really, like even he looked like he was not buying his own bullshit when he was like, "Hey, Pesci's fine." So that's why I went with Jacoby. So that means
I would be lying if I said I didn't pick John Cazale, in part because of the Jacoby argument.
I was like, God damn it.
That's fair. So Jacoby's up 2-1. So Koho needs to hit this in order to send it to the bonus round. And the category is drafted by Kaleb in the category of Star Wars. The question is, what Star Wars character would be the best to protect you in battle? So Koho, you get to kick this off. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
So the Star Wars character I would most want me to protect me in battle, I want someone who is going to relentlessly defend me to the end of the fight. I want someone who is going to be able to track my opponents down and kill them. I want someone who's going to be so invincible in battle that I will be protected. And that's Darth Maul. There's no one like Darth Maul when it comes to actual lightsaber combat. In Phantom Menace, he absolutely annihilates Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, beating 2 super powerful Jedi and kills them. Kills Qui-Gon Jinn, who is the more powerful of the 2. And he is so powerful that he cheats death. The guy can't die. He will just grow robot legs and keep fighting to save my ass. So Darth Maul is resourceful. He can come up with a bunch of different ways to protect me and a bunch of different connections that he has to continue my defense. He is able to protect me from the most powerful Jedi and the most powerful Sith. He is able to protect me against any Force user, any bounty hunter, and Darth Maul will not give up until I am safe. So Darth Maul is 100% the correct answer to this question.
Prime. Okay. We're going to move over to Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
To protect you in battle, if you are not picking the Jedi that canonically has the power of every single Jedi before her and can force heal any injury that you have, then you're an insane person. Rey is the most powerful Jedi warrior. She's proven to be a master of the Force, a ferocious fighter, and again is one of the only Jedi who has been shown to be able to force heal, an extremely rare ability that is one of your biggest guarantees that you won't die in battle. If you look at her drive to fight and protect the people she cares about, specifically I see her terrifying face when she first meets Finn and charges to beat the shit out of him, coupled with her unmatched Force powers like how she lifts debris in Last Jedi, or anything she does in Rise of Skywalker regarding the Force while fighting, then she's the one Star Wars character you would absolutely want protecting you in battle. We've seen her fight individual opponents and win. We've seen her fight in large groups and battle scenes and see her take down her opponents pretty handily. We've seen her take down an enemy spaceship, both with her lightsaber and the Force. So no matter the battle that you're in and who is after you, Rey is your absolute best option to protect you.
Time. All right. No one picked Klieg Lars. Interesting. 5-minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
You also see her blow up Chewbacca's ship and stop fighting because she thinks she killed her friend. And that was a moment where if Kylo Ren wasn't the biggest idiot in the galaxy, would have killed her and ended that fight. Also, she can't force heal herself after she expends her powers and drops dead. That's just, there's two fatal flaws to Rey. She literally dies after using all the powers of the Jedi and then has to be force healed by someone who it also can force heal. She's not the only one who can do that. But also at the end of the day, she is not strong enough to withstand Darth Maul or any other opponent when it comes to she'll get caught up into it and then I will die. I will be killed because she'll shoot Force lightning and I will drop dead.
You are absolutely hilarious in how you're presenting Darth Maul as this unstoppable warrior who killed the biggest warrior of Qui-Gon Jinn. You know what happened directly after that scene, Koho? He got beaten by a 24-year-old like Padawan, and while Darth Maul had the high ground, he still lost, and then he got cut in half. You said like, oh, he doesn't die. It doesn't matter if he doesn't die when he falls down the pit. He's still beaten in battle, and then you fucking die. He is the worst choice to pick you. He is the worst Sith Lord. He doesn't show any prowess in anything that he does in order to actually fight and win any of his battles. He kills one Jedi and then is beaten. Rey doesn't need to force heal herself. She needs to force heal me so I don't die in battle. And that's what's most important. And that's what she can do. And she can actually fight to save a damn. And she can actually beat all these people around her. And your weird specific scene of Rise of Skywalker killing, she's not there when Chewbacca is captured. But what that scene does is show how fucking powerful she is because she blows up a ship with Force lightning. That's a point for me. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not, because it shows how uncontrollable her powers are, that it goes in any direction, that I can be a victim of absolute residual damage that her powers cause. She is not focused and she is not able to control what she does because she hurts people around her all the time, constantly. She is not able to control what she does. In her abilities, she is unwieldy. That's the issue. And at the end of the day, she's not a strong enough Jedi to survive the fights that I need her to. She can force heal me. No, she can't, because she will kill me on accident when she's going to protect me. And again, you want to be like,
happen, though.
He grows robotic legs, Jacoby. He cannot be stopped. This man cannot.
He grows robotic legs after being cut down into a pit, and then he sulks for 20 fucking years doing absolutely nothing. I'm sorry that I don't want the guy chopped in.
Anyway,
I don't want the guy.
Issue, Jacoby. No, here's the issue. Here's the issue. What we're running into with yours is you have someone who cannot focus their rage, their abilities, and will cause the residual damage that will hurt me. And then here's the beauty of it. When she thinks she's hurt me, she will stop and get killed. So even if I'm not dead, my protector is gone. Darth Maul, on the other hand, is a hunter, a tracker, and a killer, and uses the same Force prowess that Rey does, throwing debris, causing a surrounding around him to grow to the area he needs it to be, and cannot be beaten. He will come back and kill my guy.
It's super crazy. You say he's not beaten. He literally was beaten by one guy. And yes,
how is he alive?
Hold on, Koho, hold on. Rey is uncontrolled with her power. She is powerful. She has rage, but the whole arc of her movies is her learning to be a Jedi and harness the abilities of everyone before her to control it and be the best warrior in the galaxy. She will absolutely protect you because she fucking cares about you and is powerful. I would rather have someone who is insanely powerful and can blast things all over the place than someone who's going to lose immediately in battle, because Darth Maul will not protect you. That's the crux of it. He is not going to protect you because he loses in all his battles. You have no evidence of the things that he does because he doesn't do anything. Rey has evidence of all the time how power.
He literally beats Qui-Gon Jinn the first time they fight, and then in the rematch kills him. They meet twice in The Phantom Menace. I don't think you watched the movies. In the first time in the desert, he beats him and causes Qui-Gon Jinn to run away like a little bitch. And then the second time, he uses the Force, breaks open the wall, fights him, kills his ass, and leaves Obi-Wan Kenobi for dead afterwards when he goes to the pit, comes back, grows robotic legs, and takes over the entire criminal empire of the galaxy.
That doesn't mean he's going to protect you. Hold on, Koho, go. Stop for a sec. That doesn't mean he will actually protect you in battle. It means that when an opponent is going to be standing over and Darth Maul thinks he would have won like he was standing over Obi-Wan, he's going to let his guard down and he's going to fucking die. And then he's going to go off in the distance. And then, hold on, he's going to go robotic legs in the distance. Then you're still dead in battle. Rey is not going to give up. She is not going to suffer those same defeats. She's going to use all of her Jedi power in order to use this to protect you, which is mass, which is almost infinite, and it's every Jedi before her instead of one guy who, yes, beat Qui-Gon Jinn, but then died immediately afterwards. It's a terrible choice. He didn't
die. He grew robotic legs, and he came back, and he took over the entire criminal empire. That's the thing. Darth Maul has the ability to, he has the ability to connect with people and make even more defenders for me. The entire Crimson Dawn is part of his army. I have so many things that Darth Maul can use to protect me. I have pawns. It's not just him. He will protect me. Rey will get me hurt. She does not know how to use her powers, and you keep blowing it out of proportion.
Blowing it out of proportion. Starting from the record. We're going to start post-match interviews starting with Jacoby. Jacoby, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Okay, the question is simply, who would you want protecting you in a fight? The Jedi who is so powerful in the Force that they are able to channel the strength of all the previous Jedi and has shown the ability to fight off enemies in every situation and has shown to be pretty fucking powerful both individually in big battles against spaceships in everything that she does, or some chump who got cut in half when he had the high ground. Koho's throwing in he has the Crimson Dawn and he can bring in his minions. That doesn't work because then Rey could just bring in all the rebellion. So that point to help her. So that point doesn't work. Maul isn't actually competent in anything that he does. He's projecting of how cool he is, how he can grow robotic legs in the distance. That doesn't protect you in the battle. That just means that, he's going to be off growing robotic legs and then you're going to die. Rey is 100% more battle ready with better abilities and has actually shown instances where she can protect you in a battle. Maul does not. Maul's an absolute loser who, yes, looks cool, I guess, but when you look at his abilities and what he accomplished in the movies, is one of the worst picks for someone who could protect you in a battle because he loses immediately to someone because he's cocky, he's arrogant, and he loses control, and then he falls down a pit and fucking dies. Rey harnesses, yes, is powerful and is all over the place, but she learns to harness that as evidence in the movies.
All right, we're going to go over to Koho. Koho, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Rey never learns to harness her powers to the point where she dies because she doesn't know how to harness her powers. She never actually beats anyone outright because Snoke literally beats her the first time they meet. So at the end of the day, Rey's not powerful enough. You should pick Snoke because Snoke beats Rey the first time they meet and she's not able to do anything and she needs Kylo to save her. Also, what happens at the end of the time? Kylo resurrects her with his Force powers that he also can use. So guess what? Rey is not more powerful than 3 people in her own fucking trilogy. When it comes to Darth Maul, you keep saying, he'll grow legs. He'll grow legs immediately. He grows them fucking immediately, Jacoby. This guy will get right back up and keep fighting. And guess what? Rey will not bring the rebellion. She works alone. She doesn't call people. She doesn't go with the rebellion places. She stays where the fuck she is and doesn't do anything until Kylo Ren shows up, and then Kylo Ren has to save her ass. So that's what happens. Pick Kylo Ren, Jacoby. That's the better pick for you. Darth Maul would kill Kylo Ren. Because at the end of the day, he has the entire army of Crimson Dawn. He cannot be killed. He literally is alive, even after they thought he died. And guess what? He kills Qui-Gon Jinn. He beats Qui-Gon Jinn so many times. Uses Force abilities like Rey that actually impact the battle around him in a way that will help me. He will create more space for me to be safe, whereas Rey will shoot me with Force lightning. She sucks. Also, I just want to fact check myself. It is Jolly Bee, not Jolly Tree. Thank you.
Oh my god. Oh my lord. Holy shit. Well, that put me in a better mood.
You're welcome.
Happy to help.
Okay.
I have so many questions.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I don't-
Yeah.
All right. We never see the robot legs in Solo.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. I just watched it. They did
I'm
the full
will-
body shot.
I'd be very shocked if you see
I'll show
that.
you.
Anyway. At one point, Koho said he grows them back immediately. That's not what happens. Have you ever watched Clone Wars? That's not what happens. Anyway.
But can you even? Okay, go ahead.
Anyway. I didn't much the legs stuff didn't fucking matter. The robot legs did not matter for the fight. But I just thought it was fucking funny. But anyway. I went with Jacoby. I'm sorry, Koho. I thought that Jacoby won this pretty fair and square. It was kind of summed up at the end. It made me laugh, but when Koho goes he's trying to list off the accomplishments of Darth Maul. And he says he beats he says he beats Qui-Gon Jinn. He beats him so many times. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. Oh my god. I don't know why I think it's so funny. Koho actually, to be fair, I think Koho actually did. I think Darth Maul was a dumb pick. Frankly, I really do. You could pick Darth Vader. You could pick Sidious. You could pick fucking Captain Tarpals. Like, but I think he actually convinced me that Darth Maul would be a good fighter. That he has a good fighting style, and that he does beat Qui-Gon, who is a powerful Jedi. That being said, I think Jacoby just like schooled him on like everything, with like Rey having all the powers of all the Jedi, can heal you, all that stuff. And then even Koho at the end was like, you could have picked Kylo Ren, you could have picked this person, they're all more powerful than Rey. And I'm like, well, then why didn't you pick those people, Kaleb? So I don't know. This was fucking hilarious. I needed that laugh. And again, I want to be clear, I'm not laughing at Koho specifically, just one of the things that he said. So Cody, where are you going?
As someone that lost a debate to Caleb Koho just yelling obscene bullshit for like for a minute and a half. Yeah. One, I'm going to be honest with you. With Koho's pick, I'm not sure I've seen a Star Wars movie. Because there is no moments that I went back to my recollection of him growing legs and coming back to be this enforcer of this character that he is presenting to me. There's probably some show and some canon out there that shows this character to a degree. I don't know. Maybe there is. Who knows? But I see him die to a young guy, fall in a hole, and the last time I see him, I think, is sitting at the end of Solo and be like, we're going to be working much more closely together. I don't know how that's a protector. He fights 3 times in a movie that I see, gets his ass kicked once. That's a 66% like win rate. I don't know if that's, and the first one could not even consider a really good win rate because they both like don't end it. I had to go with Jacoby because at the end of the day, her powers may be crazy and go all over the place. She's alive. She doesn't have to grow legs, and she has all these powers. And I don't give a shit if somebody else force heals her. She also force heals. I don't know. I think Darth Maul was a terrible pick, but maybe there's a canon out there I just don't know about.
Mark, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone away?
Yeah. Sorry, Koho. I also went Jacoby. I think at the end, I think you started to make at least kind of a decent point of him being like ahead of like kind of deep in this criminal underworld, and he has like people like to help him in the criminal underworld. But you didn't really dive into that super much. And I think it was really telling where at the end you said beats Qui-Gon Jinn and then kills Qui-Gon. Like, it felt like you couldn't give me a ton of examples of people that Darth Maul had beat. So I just, yeah, man. I had to go Jacoby on Ray. I mean,
It made me laugh. I don't know why. It's so fucking
this
funny.
is over.
He
This is over.
beats Qui-Gon Jinn, and then he beats Qui-Gon. He beats Qui-Gon so many times.
So since it's over, I'll just make a quick clarifying point. My entire crux of this argument was based on the Clone Wars can't be used as my argument. So in canon, he dies and then he's somehow alive with robot legs. No, he's in the show. He's in the show. So I can't. So the show can't be counted. So there's no actual definitive canon example of why he's alive in Solo.
Why'd you pick him?
And your winner,
by proxy of the movies, he's technically immortal.
Jacoby wins the match. We're gonna start with talking to Koho. Koho kind of talked a little bit. Koho, I was laughing, not at you, but with you. My God, man, that was great though. I thought that was a lot of fun, dude. Like, I could tell you always come and put up a good game. It's always fun to have you on the debate table. Fuck, we gotta get you in more matches. That was a lot of fun. I had a blast listening to you debate, Jacoby. How are you feeling, man? I know you like to win. Like, at the end of the day, you like to win, but I feel like this was a win for everybody involved today. I think this was a fun time. How are you feeling?
So my whole strategy was, if I can win actors and actresses and I can win classics, then I can force a speed round, because I was like, I can maybe win Star Wars. But at the end of the day, my whole pick on Star Wars was based on one loophole. I was like, one loophole, I can make this point, and if this point doesn't land, I'm fucked. Where I was like, I can pick a guy who is super scary, and then technically, because we don't get any of the exposition of the show that can count, he's just alive. He's just immortal with a criminal empire. So it's just like, that was the whole crux, was like, let's use a loophole because of Solo, and that it didn't land. And I was like, that's fine. I was like, if that doesn't work, I'm fucked. Which is fine. I had fun yelling about it. Once I knew I had lost kind of halfway through, I'm like, fuck it, let's make this entertaining. But Bond, I was like, he's gonna beat me with a pen, and I got the car, and I knew there was no way to beat the pen. I was just gonna argue the car, and if it worked, it worked. But Jacoby's great. He comes into this, like, sits down, and I feel like I'm hearing the evening news in every opening argument, or like reading like the front page of someone's high school like thesis paper, where they're just like, in these points, A, B, C, and I come in and I'm just like, hey man, you ever heard about a man with robotic legs in a criminal empire? It's gonna fuck you up. Like, it's just two different debate styles, and his is just more refined than mine. He is a scalpel and I am a hammer, and that's just how this works. So he'll beat me 9 times out of 10, and that's totally fine. I love him. So I had fun.
I'm glad you had fun. I had a blast, so thank you for being here. We'll see you next season. I'm very excited to see you come back, but we're gonna bring in Jacoby. Jacoby, another win under your belt. You are now, as I look at your record, you are now 8-3, which is a very good record to have. This season you have had 5 clean sweeps, which is a very good amount to have. It is the 3rd highest of any player. So very, very good season overall. This does end your season as we go into next season. But how are you feeling about going up against Koho? Did you have as much fun as I did?
I did. That was a blast. That was fucking wild. And I forgot. I knew that Koho kind of did this last time we debated. He says a lot of things, and then I forgot that he kind of did that. I was like, oh yeah, he just says a lot of things, and it threw me off a few times. I'm just like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? And then I was thinking he had a surprise argument ready for Maul. Like, I just thought that he would just. That was wild, but that was so much fun. I'm very happy for the win. I'm very happy to end my season on a win, and I love Koho. And that was I wish. Well, I always get nervous, as you know, about these debates. But if I debate more people like Koho, then that's what makes it fun, right? Because it is a good time. I'm very sweaty, and I got really loud, but it's still a lot of fun. So thank you guys.
So now going into next season, we don't know exactly who you're going to play yet, but you are very high up on the rankings right now. You're the number 2 ranked player. depending on what happens later this season, we don't know who the champion is right now. So you could be playing really anybody going into next season. You've got your Cody's who you've played. You've got your Kirks who you've played. But then you also have Holtzman, who you lost to in the last match before this one, or you got someone totally new. Anybody? Do you want to try to beat Kirk or Cody? Do you want to go up against Holtzman? Do you want to play Rue again? Like, what do you? It's someone new. What are you thinking, man?
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, I think that's always the goal, right? To avenge your losses, to prove that they don't have your number. Kirk has my number twice and Cody once, right? Like, I think that's how that worked out. I must have lost to Kirk twice. I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter. I just think I lose a lot. Like, and I want to beat the people who I lost to. So, yeah, bring them on, and I'm ready. It'll make me very nervous, but it'll be great to debate Cody again. You know, like that'd be fun. I say now, but yeah, bring it on. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, Jacoby, great job tonight. This was a lot of fun, as I said. So thank you for being here. Let's get final thoughts, starting with Mark.
No, very glad I showed up today. This was great. Like even Koho trying to manufacture a point, still a lot of fun to watch. Like and also we had I think probably some underrated points here with that the Bond question was great, and like the actor one was really fun back and forth. It was a great time.
Yeah, Cody, final thoughts from you.
Yeah, gosh, I wish Koho, like, I don't know, like, I feel like most fights are lost in the decision making of like what to pick. Like, I feel like you can just totally like ruin yourself with picking something that just seems on paper right, but you haven't thought about like the counter punches too much for it. It just sounds completely right. Like Al Pacino Cazale on paper sounds beautiful, but what could take that down? So I think that was interesting. I think Koho, like, because he sees the slam dunk and is like, yeah, I'll go with it. But sometimes there's a person ready to smack it. Jacoby is, again, a person I have the utmost respect for in this league. I feel like he could be the champion and take it from me very easily. I think he is very prepared. He takes it serious, and I definitely see him on the horizon. If it's not against me, it's against whoever the champion is. And he's got what it takes. He comes in nervous, but once he starts reading or once he starts saying his opening, it is smooth sailing from there. He knows exactly what to do, and he's so precise. So I think he's absolutely. I love just watching him debate. I don't even care if I'm like judging or what. I watch Jacoby's debate matches because I think he does such a good job of presenting his argument. So hats off to Jacoby. He lost one in my eyes today, but like that was still. I think he could have easily won that one too. He's really good.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to do it for us tonight at Fanzone Debate. I want to thank Cody and Mark for judging. Thank you to Kaleb and Jacoby for playing. Thank you to Kirk and Brian for helping out behind the scenes. I've been Tim. We'll see you guys next time with another great Fanzone Debate. Until next time, bye.
There we go. Thank you very much. Please come again. We have a lot more groceries.